We do know that stuff happens. I know two. Arab Christian pastors who were both offered millions of dollars to convert to Islam, with the requirement that they had to say it was because of all the evidence for Islam. And one of them was told, you have to convert and then write a book on how the Quran showed you that Christianity is false and that Islam is true. And it was because you have to say it was because of you saw that the Quran is correct and it's correcting the errors of the Bible. And so do that and you're good to go. So you had that, and then you had the scientific miracles that were used for a long time. When that came out in the Wall Street Journal, how these guys were paid and given free vacations and stuff, and all they had to do was say something positive about Islam. And then there are other situations where, like this, you don't know, but you have good grounds to be suspicious. So the most famous book in this entire genre is Maurice Bucay's book, where he said that the Bible and the Quran in the light of science, where he argued that the Quran is scientifically accurate. This dude worked for King Faisal.
Yeah.
This guy worked for King Faisal, and he comes out, oh, after all this studying I've done, and by the way, never converted, but comes out and says he's got all this, he's discovered, after working for King Faisal, he's discovered all this amazing scientific evidence for Islam. And then they all run with that as their proof. You have to wonder, even people like Keith Moore that they point to, which was a guy who he got some sort of funding from the Middle East for his research showing that the Quran lines up with genetics, and eventually wasn't getting that money anymore and said he's not interested in the topic anymore when people had asked him about it. But you have to wonder. I mean, just think about this. If you go around and offer people from around the world money for supporting your religion, some of those people are going to take you up on that offer. And then we suddenly hear about, this person, this doctor, this that has found all this amazing evidence for the Quran, that the Quran is the word of God. Or Andrew Tate is converted, Sneeko is converted. It's like, wait a minute, I know for a fact you guys have people who are willing to give millions of dollars to people for supporting your religion. And then you've got these people standing up saying, hey, we've just discovered that Islam is true. It looks awfully suspicious, doesn't it?
It does. I'm thinking there was this guy, was it The Rationalizer?
He went through it. He actually did some interviews with some of the guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. He actually made an interview with one of those people who,
I think he did a couple, but yeah, it was the same thing. And it was after that Wall Street Journal article where, by the way, guys, the methodology was brilliant. It's horribly evil and deceptive, but they brought dozens and dozens of Western scientists over to the Middle East. The guy who was doing it was best buddies with Osama bin Laden. That's the guy who's doing all this. Is one of Osama bin Laden's buddies. In fact, if you get the book that they put out because of that, it was listed. Osama bin Laden is actually credited as someone who's funding the project, right? So this is like an Osama bin Laden funded project. But what they would do is they would bring dozens and dozens and dozens of Western scientists to the Middle East. They'd give them money. They'd pay for all their trip. They tell them bring your spouse and so on. They're treating it like vacations and so on. And then this person would go in and sit down, and then they would give them a massively edited quotation from something in the Hadith or something like that, where they would. It's only people who are familiar with what the sources actually say who knew how edited these passages were. They would take something from a Hadith and completely take out what happens before it and what happens after it, because if they were actually given the full passage, they would say this is insane and idiotic. So they wouldn't. They would give them one little part that could be interpreted as correct, and then they would put it in front of the person and say, how could Muhammad have known this? How could Muhammad have known this? And guess what? The overwhelming majority of people said, come on, that's no evidence. That's not impressive. They ignored all those people, but they did get to a few people who said, oh yes, that's amazing stuff right there. How could Muhammad have known that? That's interesting. And then they take that and then they run around the world. You see, this is the proof of Islam. And so it's just this amazing scenario where they got that result by ignoring everyone who said that's a stupid argument. They ignored all those people. They only picked the people who actually, after being showered with money and gifts and a free vacation and so on. One of the guys in the Wall Street Journal article said it was mutual manipulation.
Wow.
They got some praise for their book, and all we had to do was praise their book, and we got free vacations in return. And this, you can still, if you go to a Dawah booth, they'll still be handing out the pamphlets with this as their evidence for Islam. Even Western scientists, when they're confronted with the Muslim sources, see that it's the truth. And there's
I'm telling you,
Muhammad...
if you don't care about honesty, if you don't care about any of those things, and if you just want to make some quick money for a little bit, if you are a white person especially,
oh yeah,
all you need to do is to go out and somehow make a video saying I converted to Islam after seeing the beautiful sights and being convinced by its wonderful arguments. Then make up a story about how you were a Christian and the Trinity never made sense to you, and you always knew something was up, and you always knew that there's some other belief out there. And then once you heard of Islam was like amazing, and it totally appealed to you, and you heard a few arguments and it was amazing and all that. And make a video like that, and start making a few videos. You will get subscribers, tons of followers, and probably make money very quickly.
Yeah, better yet, to make it look even more legit, start off by saying, guys, the Trinity is really bothering me, but Islam is starting to look good because of because of Tawheed. Say that, and then let it go on for a couple months with them showering you with praise and so on. And then now I'm finally converting, and then change your channel to something about Dawah or something like that. And dude, you're rich. You're covered for the rest of your life.
I'm pretty sure that I have heard of different scholars as well who didn't convert to Islam.
This guy's the biggest dope in the world,
but who talks good stuff about Islam all the time, and who are paid by different governments. I can't name anyone right now, and I'm not sure who those people are, but I'm pretty sure that there are some out there who are that way.
We used to do shows and videos about that guy back in the past, because he would write articles for all these different news sources and stuff. But like one of them one day was Prophet Muhammad was the George Washington of his time, and there was an entire article pointing out all these amazing parallels between George Washington and Muhammad.
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
That's pretty amazing.